And this week we have a very interesting question. Now this is a video that was sent to me by email, and you can do the same, by Mr. Anish Dea. He's an educator in Toronto, Canada. He was my guest last week. If you were here last week, you would have seen him. And before he left, he sent me this video with a question that we didn't have time to answer on the show. It was a question a student asked him. Now, I'd love it if you guys sent me videos, 1 minute, 30 seconds, doesn't matter, short videos, asking me your grammar question. And if you do that, I'll feature your question and your video on the show. Now, if you're too shy, that's fine. Just send me a question in the email. But it's much more fun if you can send me a video clip with your grammar question, okay? Okay, so Vietnamese people in general. Yeah, I understand, but I would also be careful because there's a lot of Vietnamese people, and I don't know, have you met all of them and all of them are afraid of complex and compound sentences? I think it's always best to speak for yourself because you know yourself, and if you're afraid of complex and compound sentences, I can help you, but I can't help a nation of people. That's too many people. All right. Wilson is joining us from Ecuador. Wilson's another English teacher working hard to help his students in Ecuador. Okay, let's get to this evening's mystery of the week. And I'll get ready to answer the question. So again, this was sent to us by Mr. Anish Dea. Here we go.
Hey Teacher Paul, this is Anish from On the Spot Language, and a student asked me this question the other day, and it was regarding when they take out money from the bank and there's a checking account and savings account. Wait, or is it checkings account and savings account, or is it checking account and saving account? I don't know. Please help me, Teacher Paul, solve this English mystery.
Okay, very interesting question, Anish. Thank you very much. So this is a great question, and it's related to a topic that comes up a lot. In English, we have a structure that is extremely common, so you should learn this. And this is the structure of, let me just move these down. This common structure is the noun plus noun structure, right? So noun, noun. So for example, where is it now? So this is my cup, right? This is my cup. By the way, if you want to buy them, they are for sale. So you can scan right down here. You can get your own Grammar Detective cup or mug, whatever you want to call it. Mug or cup, doesn't matter, same thing. Price is a little high, but bear in mind I use those funds to cover the production cost of the show. Anyway, this is a cup. This is my cup. Right? So we're going to put cup here. Let's use the word mug. Technically, it's a mug. A mug is a type of ceramic cup that keeps the heat inside, right? It's a little thicker than a cup or a glass, and a cup could be plastic, but a mug is thick ceramic. So if you have a hot liquid in there, it keeps it warm. Okay, this is my mug. Now that's a complete sentence. Perfectly grammatical. We have a subject, we have our verb, we have a determiner, and we have a noun. This is my mug. Okay, that's complete. But we can also modify a noun like this. We can describe it with adjectives. You could say something like, this is my cute mug. Cute is an adjective. You could say, this is my white mug. White is an adjective. But there's another technique you can use in English that is extremely common. Okay, so cute and white are adjectives, but we can put a noun here. Okay, we can put a noun in front of another noun to describe the second noun. Okay, now usually this noun tells us what kind or what type the second noun is. So you tell me in the comment thread, what type or what kind of mug is this? What kind is this? What kind of mug is this, in your opinion? What's the purpose of this? Okay, it's a mug, we know that. I've told you it's a mug. I've told you where to buy it if you want it. So what kind is it? Tell me your answer in the comment thread. What kind of mug? Okay. So Wayne says it's white, and it certainly is white, but that's what color it is. If I ask you what color is it, you can tell me it's a white mug. But think about the purpose or the function. Okay, it's ceramic, right? So yeah, here we go. The purpose is for drinking coffee, right? So that's the kind of mug it is. It's a mug for drinking coffee or tea, right? Wynn says a ceramic mug and a coffee mug. Okay, this is where we're getting at the heart of this grammar structure. Coffee mug. Coffee is what kind of word? Is it a verb? No, it's a noun, right? Exactly, Wayne, you've got it. Tea or coffee? Tea is a noun, coffee is a noun. But if we put the noun coffee here, it is now acting like an adjective. It's telling us what kind of mug it is. Now, this structure is so common in English. If you look around your room, you'll see stuff like this everywhere. For example, this is a mouse. It's not an animal, it's a special kind of mouse. What kind? Computer mouse. Computer is a noun. What else can I find here? Well, as you know, I have a lot of animals with me because I like animals. This is a rabbit. What kind of rabbit? Well, it's cute, that's an adjective. It's white, that's an adjective. It's small, that's an adjective. But they describe it, they don't tell me what kind it is. It's a toy rabbit. Toy is not an adjective. Toy is a noun. Toy rabbits. Now here's a paw, right? Now what kind of paw is it? Well, it's a small paw, yeah, but specifically this is a toy paw, right? A bobblehead. So this is really common, and I'm sure if you look around you can find lots of examples. Now that's a two-syllable word, and that's a one-syllable word. What often happens in English is if you have a one-syllable noun and a one-syllable noun, over time, if they're commonly used, they become one word. We call that a compound noun. For example, backpack, textbook, homework. Home is a noun, work is a noun, text is a noun, book is a noun. But they're one syllable, so they have become compound nouns. One noun made of two. Backpack, textbook, homework, cell phone. Cell is a noun, phone is a noun. Cellular phone is the adjective, but cell is the noun form. So here's another one. Baseball. Base is a one-syllable noun. It's the four bases around which players touch in a baseball game, and that's a ball. What kind of ball? It's a ball for bases. This is now a baseball, one word. This is a very common structure, guys, and it's going to help us understand this. It's going to help us understand Anish's question. So his question is, what should we say here? For example, she opened a Chequings account. She opened a savings account, right, at the bank. Put your money in there. Wow, it's getting a little low, isn't it? Gosh. It's weird. I can't see the lines here. I have to go back to basics and put lines on my whiteboard so I can write straight. Okay. So which is it, right? This is the question. Oh, Stacy has a good one. Board marker. A marker for the board. Right? Great. Great example. Business suit. Business is a noun. Right? Okay. So Anish wants to know, should we say checkings account or checking account? Should we say savings account or saving account? Okay. Oh, Win has a question. A 2-year-old girl. So 2-year-old is an adjective, right? Yeah, exactly. And this is what we're getting at. Year is a noun. Old is an adjective. But when you hyphenate them, together they form an adjective structure. Berta, welcome to the show. Yes, cupboard, right? Cupboard, right? One-syllable words often compress into a compound noun. Okay, so the question here is checkings or checking? Savings or saving? To answer this, I want to take a look at the good old-fashioned dictionary. Now, you guys are learning English, and there's all kinds of high-tech ways to learn English. There are apps. There's apps like Grammarly that can help you write and teach you about grammar. There's all kinds of technology. However, there's one good old-fashioned thing you should never ignore, and that is the dictionary. Now, I like books, so I have a big, fat, good old-fashioned Canadian Oxford Dictionary. British Oxford Dictionary, it's not really any different. Okay? The dictionary gives us a lot of information. Combine it with your grammar knowledge and you can really understand how sentences and grammar work in English. So I'm going to pull up a couple of graphics to help us answer this question. Because what we have here is a subject, a verb, and we have a noun plus noun structure. Clearly a bank account. Oh gosh, there's another one. Bank. Bank account. Oh, I don't have another account. Bank is a noun. It's a place, right? So bank account is also one of these structures. Now, I told you that one-syllable words together like cupboard or backpack, they're called compound nouns. This is not called compound nouns. That's because these are not together as one word. These are two. This is noun plus noun. It's got a fancy grammatical name called noun adjunct. You don't have to know that. It's just noun plus noun structure. And the first noun acts like an adjective to tell us about the second noun. And by the way, if you want to learn more of this and really understand it, I recommend going to my YouTube channel and watching my episode of English Weirdness, which really goes into this. So I'm going to put it in the chat box. Right? It's one episode all about this topic. Okay? Anyway, let's go to the dictionary definitions of these words. Not account. We know what an account is. We want to know about savings and checking. What is the meaning of this word, first of all? We know it's a noun, but let's learn something else about these words. Okay, first, saving. Now we have two words here. The first one is a noun that is countable. And the definition or the meaning is an amount of something such as time or money that you do not need to use or spend. So you save it. It's the thing you save. Now, look at savings. It says noun, plural, right? Because this is countable. But what happens when we make it plural? It has a new meaning. Money that you have saved, especially in a bank. Right? So this is an amount. This is the money itself. So the meaning is a little different. Okay, that's going to help us answer this question. Let's look at checking or checkings. Checking is a gerund noun, right? So, or sometimes we can call it the participle. Now, sorry about the spelling here. It says the process by which a bank accepts and validates checks. So checking is the name of the process, okay? And it comes from the noun check. And checks are countable. For example, I can write one check to pay my rent. I can write another check to pay for buying a new bicycle or something, or car. Okay, so you can write two checks, right? Two checks. What's the meaning? This is the name of the process. This is the name of the printed form, the paper, right? So for example, it might look something like that, right? That's a typical check. That's the check. That's what this is. Checking is the name of the process. This will help us understand what we have here. Okay, so let's look at the first one. She opened a Chequings account. What kind of account? Is it an account that indicates the process? Or is it an account of printed form? Is it a check account or is it a checking account? Well, it's the name of the process, right? It's the process type of account. And by the way, checking is a gerund. For example, teaching is my job. Swimming is fun. Those are gerunds, right? You take a verb, put ing, turn it into your subject or object. And gerunds are always singular. Okay? It's the name of a process. Just like swimming is the name of an activity. Can you make swimming plural? Can we say swimmings are good exercise? No. Gerunds are always singular. Gerunds are always singular. Teaching, singular. Teaching is. Therefore, we can't really say checkings because it's not plural. It's a process. So the type of account is checking account, an account that uses the process of processing checks, counting them, putting them into your bank account. It's a type of account, checking account. So that's the correct answer. Anish, I hope you saw that. That's the correct one. Let's look at savings. She opened a savings account or a saving account. Well, let's look at the definition again. Saving means an amount of something such as time that you do not need to use or spend. Savings, plural, has a different meaning. It is the money that you have saved. Okay? So, what kind of account is that? Well, it's the account, right? It's an account that is used for the money that you have saved. So you save money, right? That's the verb, save. You save money. Let's say you save $100 and you take it to your bank or move it to your bank online, whichever you like. It goes to the bank. It is the money that you have saved after you pay your bills and buy your food. You have a little bit of money left over. If you live in Canada, you have a little bit of money left over. It's a very expensive country. And you take that money that you have saved and you take it to your account and you put your savings, the money that you have saved, and you put it in that account. So this is a different meaning than this. And this is the meaning we want because it tells us what kind of an account. It's an account for the money that I have saved. Right? And it's plural. Why? Quite simple. Because there's more than one saving. Right? In this account, I have some money that I saved from my job, some money that I saved from a gift, some money that I saved by selling a bicycle, right? Or selling a book. There are different monies that I've saved. So it's already plural. Okay? So these are the correct answers, Anish. Okay? Checking account and savings account. Now, this is confusing because it seems that there's a contradiction here of the rule. It's not a rule, though. This is a question not of grammar, but of meaning. Saving and savings are two different meanings. Checking has one meaning. It's the process of moving your money through the bank. So there's only one meaning here. But this one has two different meanings, right? That's a different meaning than this. When you put the S on it, it's the name of the money you have saved. And that's what kind of account that is. The name is the money that you have saved. So this is not an account that we save. We don't save the account, right? For example, this is not usually said, but if you think about a job that saves people, for example, police officer, firefighter, we could say those are saving jobs because those are jobs that save people, that do that process, that they save. They save people. Okay? That's not what this account does. The account doesn't save money. You do. This is an account where you put your savings, and that's plural because there's lots of money there, right? Hopefully. Now, there's an objection because, and if you watch my episode of English Weirdness that's in the chat thread, you will learn that there's a sort of rule, if we use noun plus noun, that the first noun should not have S. It should not have plural. Okay? This is an exception. So for example, let's go back to my coffee cup. You shouldn't say coffee's cup, right? You shouldn't say plural coffee's cup because this is acting as an adjective. Adjectives aren't plural. We wouldn't say this is a white's cup or this is a ceramics cup. And the reason is quite simple. If you put a noun in front of another noun and you put an S, forget about reading. What if you heard that? What would it sound like? It would sound like another grammar we have, which is possessive, right? This meaning is not possessive. The coffee does not own the cup. I do. I bought it, right? So this is Paul's cup, right? So that would be correct. This is Paul's cup, or I have Paul's cup. I own it. That's possessive. And we need to hear that in English. If someone says it, forget about reading. If someone says it, we need that S there. We can't hear the apostrophe. We hear the S. So if we're using this as an adjective, excuse me, it has to sound different, right? If I say coffee's cup, it sounds like somebody's saying the coffee owns the cup. Big problem. So when we use the noun plus noun structure, and our meaning is this is an adjective describing the cup, the type of cup, no S, right? So for example, I have a computer mouse, right? I have a computer mouse. I don't say computer's mouse because that would sound like possessive. Computer doesn't own the mouse. It's mine. I own it. I paid for it. Right? So this is Paul's mouse, not the computer's. Now, some languages don't use apostrophe S for showing possessive. I believe Japanese does that. It has a special word, a particle, that expresses possession. And unfortunately for those students coming from those languages, they often end up saying this: coffee's cup, computer's mouse, because they're used to expressing possessive the same way. It's not the same in English. Okay, so if you want to understand the noun plus noun structure, take a look at that video in the English Weirdness series. Okay, I put the link in there. It explains it in much more depth. But in terms of Anish's question, this is the correct answer. And the reason is checking has one meaning. Okay, I see Anish joining us now. Okay, so the reason here is that saving and savings are two different meanings, right? Savings is referring to the money that you have saved. Saving is the act of saving, right? Like a firefighter saves people from fires. So we can say the firefighter has a saving job, a job that involves saving. But that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to tell us what type of account. And this type of account is for your money. So we should say savings, right? So again, the reason for this, and it is an exception from the noun plus noun rule, the reason is we have two different meanings available, right? It's not the same meaning, plural. They're both nouns, but they have different ideas inside them. So we have to use the right idea grammatically. On the other hand, checking has one meaning, and it's a gerund, and gerunds are singular. So we can't say checkings, doesn't work. We can say checks, it's countable, but gerunds are always singular, like teaching, swimming, playing, right? So this, on the surface, seems to defy the rule of noun singular plus noun. By the way, this can be more than one. I can say I have 5 coffee cups. That's possible. But this should remain singular. There are a few of these exceptions. Savings is one of those exceptions because we have two words, saving and savings, with different meanings. And the one we need here is savings because we need this one to represent the money that I have saved, not the act of saving. Because guess what? The account doesn't save. You do. Okay, let's see what we have here in the chat. She's studying accounting. Very nice. In this case, though, I know this is confusing. Studying is the verb. This is the present continuous verb. She is, be verb, studying. If we take away the be verb, it's no longer a verb. It becomes a gerund. So this is not the similar example. If you said, studying accounting is hard, studying accounting would be a noun plus noun, right? You're most welcome, Mr. Anish. Thank you for asking the question. Right, the account doesn't save. And if we use that meaning, this is the meaning of like a firefighter has a saving job, a job that involves saving. This is not an account that involves saving, right? This is an account for your savings, and the word savings means the money that you have saved, right? So again, there are lots of ways to learn English and practice your English. But one of the most useful tools is the good old-fashioned dictionary. I think so too, Stacy. Okay, guys, we have some time. Let me see if I've missed a question in here. Well, this is a great question, Pallavi. Tenses are a grammatical concept, right? They help us express past, present, future, and also the relationship between past and present, and the relationship between present and future. And we need those because we're humans. And unlike animals, humans can think of the future. We can imagine the future. So we need to be able to express our ideas about it. And we can also remember the past. Most animals can't really do that. We need language to represent that. And we understand that past actions affect the present. So we need grammar that communicates that, like present perfect. For example, I have had knee surgery recently. It happened in the past, but it still affects the present. My knee is still a little sore, right? The present condition is the result of the past. It's not a past action that's separate from my present, right? Like last year, I ate pizza. Well, it was fun back then, but it has no effect on me today, really. But the surgery that I have had, it has an effect on me today. So I need a grammar that's different than ate a pizza last year. So the tenses are very important. They communicate the time in English. And all languages do this differently. So when you're learning English, remember, it has no relationship to your language. So forget about comparing it to your language. That's step one. Try to learn the English tenses with an open mind, right? Try to learn them and forget about saying things like, a lot of students will do this, and this is called resistance. They'll say, yeah, but in my language we do that. Forget about that. That thinking is going to slow you down. Separate your language structure from English. It's different, right? And the reason is these languages come from different cultures, different ways of thinking. Okay, so what's the best way to learn them? Well, several. One, you need to be instructed when you're a beginner. You need the basic structures and rules and how they're different. You can join my show and ask questions to clarify your doubts. If you're alone and you're not in a language school, you can read grammar books. There are many, many good grammar books. I've suggested a few on this show. You can purchase them on my website even. So if you're alone and studying alone, get a grammar book, right? However, the best way, once you learn the basics, the best way to really understand grammar is to experience it and use it in context. So as English teachers, we think about giving our students information. So we input instruction and knowledge into the student's mind, but then the student has to produce output. They have to practice. So you have to study, you have to learn, but then you have to practice. And if you're alone and you're not in a school, there's a great way to really grab verb tense. So it sounds like you've studied the basics of verb tense. One of the best ways to really understand verb tense is to read. And in particular, read novels. This is a novel called The Fortress of Solitude by Jonathan Lethem. It's a great story about two young boys growing up in New York City, becoming friends and facing problems. Novels and stories are great ways of seeing the tense in context because often stories tell us about the past and the present and even the future sometimes. They're shifting in time, right? Some stories have several stories packed inside them about the past, the present, and the future. A great example of that would be the novel that there's a great movie based on. This novel is called Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. This is a fantastic novel if you want to learn verb tense. It's also very complex. This novel takes place in the ancient past, in the recent past, in the present, and also in the far, far future. It's a mix of science fiction, history, and present-day drama. So in order to tell us about the ancient past and the near past, like 20 years ago, and the present, and the distant future, this writer is always shifting between tenses, but they're inside the context of the story. So when you're talking about one character, you know that's in the past. And if they talk about a different character, you know that's the future character. So you're able to really grasp the way tenses are used to express the different times. This, if you can read it, is a great way to learn tenses, this particular novel. But in general, stories are great ways to learn tenses. Once you understand the basic structures from a grammar lesson, right, you need to see it in action. I mean, this is how native speakers learn. The teacher would explain grammar to us in first grade or second grade, and then we experience it by reading. We experience it in our daily life. We hear our parents use it. We hear our friends use it. If we use it wrong, our teacher or our parents correct us. And as we grow, we see it in movies, right? So if you're in a country where English is not the native language, you might not have that much exposure, that much input, right? But you can read and you can watch videos on the internet. Movies also do this, the way people talk about the past, present, or future. Okay? So how do you learn tenses? Well, you have to study them or learn them in a school or a course. Then you have to reinforce them by practicing them and also getting lots of exposure. And I know, Pallavi, that you're in India and there's a lot of English in India. That's good. But you can also read. You can also watch videos. All of this stuff is available to us worldwide. Right? Great question. Yeah, this is another great question. A lot of students learn English in their own language. And I'll tell you what, that's a great start for beginners, right? If you're in India, your teacher is going to explain English using the Indian language. That's usually how a beginner will start. But at some point, you've got to stop that. At some point, you've got to learn English with English. You really do. Otherwise, you'll never really get the input that you need. You need exposure to it. Also, cultures are different. So ideas are expressed differently in different cultures. So I'm not saying that you have to have a native speaker English teacher. That's not true. But at some point, you have to learn English with English, right? Our guest from last week, Anishdeya, runs a program that's based on his own experience. At one point when he was younger, he traveled to Taiwan, where they speak Mandarin Chinese, and he had never studied that language. But he learned it in Taiwan. In other words, he learned Chinese in Chinese, right? Next time we have him as a guest, we can talk about that, how he did that. But that's what he does in his education program. He gets students to use English and learn it in English. Now, you need the basics, and learning from your Indian teacher is fine. But as you get better, you need to learn English in English. And, when you look up a word, look it up in English. Why? Because the culture of that meaning is going to be there in English, and it might be a little bit different than if it's translated through Indian culture, right? So this is a great question, and at first, yes, you have to learn English through your translated textbooks and teachers and videos. But as you get better, I want you to switch and learn English in English, right? I'll give you another example. When I was in university, I studied Japanese, okay? Very different language than English. Very first class, what did we learn? Did we learn how to say Japanese words, English? No, my teacher didn't say a word of English. He taught me the basic Japanese sounds. Kaki, ku, ke, ko, sasi, su, right? The basic Japanese, the way a Japanese child would learn it, right? The basic sounds, put the word together. And we built our knowledge that way. So we learned Japanese with Japanese from the beginning. So it's possible. It's easier to learn the basics in your language, but after a while you need to switch and at least add learning English in English. Okay, Nguyen has a question here. I usually get confused to use the plural nouns or possessive ones before a noun, such as children room, student room, teacher lounge, kid book. Okay, great. It takes work, it takes practice. Just remember the different meaning, right? Forget about grammar rules. What meaning are you expressing? This possessive, Paul's cup, expresses the fact that I own it, right? Because I bought it. I paid money for it, so now it's mine, according to most legal systems. So possession means ownership. Possession also expresses belonging, right? This is Paul's arm. I didn't buy my arm. Really. It belongs to me, though. It's part of me. So Paul's arm expresses belonging or possession. The cup belongs to me because I bought it. My arm belongs to me because it's integral. It's part of me. That's what we're expressing with possessive. With the noun plus noun structure, we're not expressing possession. We're expressing type. What kind of cup, right? It expresses the unique use or purpose of the cup. It's a cup for coffee. So down here, children's room or children room, you could say children's room. It's a room belonging to the children. It's where they play, right? Just like this is Paul's room. It belongs to me. This is where I do my show. So you should say children's room because it belongs to them. They don't own it, but it's their room, not the teacher's room. So teacher's lounge, right? It's the lounge that belongs to the teachers, okay? Now, student room, we could say it's the type of room, student room, right? Over here we have kid book, or kids' books. Well, I think they're both possible, but it's probably more natural to say the possession, right? These are the kids' books, just like this is one of Paul's books. He owns it, right? So are you expressing ownership or belonging, or are you expressing type, right? That's the question you should ask. It's not a grammar rule. It's a question of what is the meaning you're expressing. And by the way, that is the purpose of grammar, right? Grammar isn't just a set of rules to follow. It's a bunch of structures that express meaning. And after you're out of beginner level, you really have to start thinking like that. You have to start understanding what meaning is communicated with each different grammar structure. Yeah, that's understandable. You don't have to learn grammar from a book. It helps if you're alone, though. But there are also lessons available on YouTube. There are a lot of great teachers on YouTube. One that I would recommend is Miss Arnell. I don't know if you know her YouTube channel, but she makes excellent, clear, and simple grammar videos. Probably designed for beginners or intermediate level students. Check her out. I'll type her name in here. I think that's the name of her channel. I don't know her personally. She's not a friend, but yeah, she makes very good grammar videos that explain specific grammar points. Probably better than a grammar book. Yeah, this is the question, Pallavi. Yes, it's okay, but the explanation is going to be in your language. So the explanation is going to be filtered through your cultural understanding of that word. Different cultures may have different meanings of the word. So you're not a beginner, I don't think. So I think it's better for you to read the definition of words in English so you understand the way English culture views that meaning. I did an experiment once in my class. Took a word that in English has a positive meaning, and I asked my Japanese students to put it into their Japanese translator. And it translated to a meaning in Japanese that in their culture is very negative. So the same word, same meaning, but different meaning inside their culture, positive or negative. That can cause confusions. So for example, if I describe a person with that word in English, we'd say, wow, what an amazing person. If you describe a person like that in Japanese, they'd say, wow, bad person. Why? Because the cultures are different. So at some point, Pallavi, you should learn English in English so that you can really understand the way the English language expresses that meaning, not the way the Indian language translates it, right? Something changes with translation. Yeah, absolutely, right? Wayne is absolutely right. One of the reasons for this, Wayne, is that culture changes very quickly, right? And language changes very slowly. Because, for example, I'll give you an example. My parents, as you can imagine, are much older than I am, and they learned English a long time ago. However, in their life, a lot has changed. For example, the introduction of computers. I mean, that happened in my lifetime. And we needed new words like computer mouse or laptop. We needed new words. And yet, culture changes so fast, language changes much more slowly because you can't go back and teach a whole generation of people a whole new language or a whole new bunch of vocabulary, right? The words that I see young people in their 20s, for example, using on social media, they're using a whole bunch of words that I didn't use when I was in my 20s, right? Now I can learn them because I use social media for my work and my show, so I'm a little bit familiar with those. But most people my age have no idea about those words and expressions. So we haven't caught up to the cultural change and the language change. So language is always struggling to keep up. And sometimes we don't have a new word, we just use an existing word and give it a new meaning, right? That's how we get constantly changing slang and expressions, right? Constantly changing. Yeah, translation is an art form. It's for example, what do I have here? Okay, here's a book, Taichi Yamada, In Search of a Distant Voice. So Yamada is a Japanese writer, but this is translated into English so I can enjoy it, right? However, there are some words in Japanese that don't exist in English because we don't have that thing in our culture, for example. So when a translator is working to translate it, to make it understandable for an English reader, they have to create new sentences or new structures to express that thing that only exists in Japanese culture and society. So something is always lost when we translate because the translation is not just direct, word to word. That's not how translation works. Maybe you've seen your friends on social media put a post, and when you press translate, it translates into your language, but now it makes no sense. Because computers and Google Translate, for the most part, translate word to word, right? I'll give you an example of that. Don't know if you can see it. The adverb especially. In English, this word is an adverb, and we usually put it in front of, an adjective, like especially difficult. Right? Adjective, adverb, and the adverb intensifies the adjective, makes it stronger. It's especially difficult. So we could say like, studying grammar is especially difficult. Now in Japanese, they have a word that means especially. And when a Japanese student translates it with their computer, oh, I understand the meaning, they often put it at the front of the sentence. Like, especially, I like movies. Right? That's not good English. So the word means the same thing, but the where it positions in the sentence is different. Their word for this goes in the beginning of the sentence. So they can translate the meaning directly, but not the use, not the position in the sentence, or not the way we use it to intensify an adjective. This is the problem with translation. If you directly translate the meaning of the word, it might translate, but it might also lose the grammatical position, right? The way it's used in a different language. So translating is a big challenge. Oh, we have Mimi with us. Oh, cute. Very nice. Thank you for joining us. Wonderful to have you here. Yeah, okay, so this is a Japanese friend, Mimi, and she'll put especially at the beginning of a sentence. The Japanese word is tokuni, tonikaku, tokuni, right? And in Japanese, you can put tokuni at the front of the sentence. In English, we need to put it here, like verb tense is especially difficult. It's an adverb, right? Now, some adverbs can go at the beginning of a sentence, but this is very strange. That's a very strange structure in English. So if a Japanese student translates tokuni and the way it's used, so its use and its position in Japanese at the front of the sentence, directly translating results in some weird English, right? English weirdness. The meaning is there, but it's in the wrong place. So if you say that sentence in English, someone might say, huh? Right? Yeah, it's, these computer translators are not great. They're getting better, right? They're getting better all the time. And someday in the future, they'll be good at translating. But they just take the language and the words and translate the meaning directly. They don't really think too much or too well about the grammar structure and the position, right? You're welcome. Tokuni, yeah, I thought so. Well, guys, I want to remind you, I'm just about out of time. Please, we need more friends and viewers to join our community. So please share this video on your networks. If you're on Facebook, please share it with your friends. If you're on YouTube, please share the live stream when it's live. Please share the recording when it's available. Share, share, share. I want more people to watch this show so we can keep it going and build our community, okay? Because I've got a bunch of new projects I want to start soon, but I need more people watching. And I want to help more people with their grammar questions. I'm going to say goodbye, but just let me remind you, in the chat thread is the link to the episode of English Weirdness that's all about noun plus noun. So if you want to learn more about checking account, savings account, coffee cup, all that stuff, there's an episode here, and the link is in the chat box. If you want to stay in touch, go to my website, hardboiledenglish.com. You can sign up and get a free webinar on the landing page. You can join my mailing list, follow my blog, and find all my services and projects there. Again, as usual, if you're feeling generous and you want to support the show, you can do so at Buy Me a Coffee. You just scan the QR code or go to buymeacoffee.com and look for Hard Boiled English or the Grammar Detective, and you'll find the link, right? And you can donate $1, $2, $5, whatever, million if you feel really generous. All of that money helps me produce this show, because as I've said many times, the show is not free for me, it's free for you. But it costs me money to bring this to you every week. So I'd really appreciate support. If you can, in any amount is helpful, right? But what's really helpful is if you share this show with your friends. That's ultimately easy to do. Click share. It's funny because a lot of people don't even think about it, right? They don't think about sharing. But there's an expression that says, sharing is caring. Sharing is a way to express that you care about something because you like it and you want other people to benefit from it. So if you like my show and you enjoy what we do here and you enjoy being part of the weekly community, I'd really appreciate if you'd share it with your friends and your networks online, because we need more people to participate. Okay, so think about those things, and I'd really appreciate your help developing our community. I'm going to say goodnight and thank you very much for watching the show. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you to everyone who has participated and brought questions. Mimi has shared online. Okay, great. Thank you. I'm online too, so if you want to connect online, Mimi, find me online. Thank you, Mr. Wayne. Great to have a Brit with us representing. Please come back anytime or get in touch if you want to chat about anything. We have Nayana's Journeys with us. Oh, that's very sweet of you. Thank you. And by the way, Nayana has contributed a video question. And if you want to do that, please email me your video question and I'll build the show around it. Okay? Or if you're shy and you don't want to send a video, just send me a question on that's on your mind. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me tonight. Let me just clear this up. And I'll see you next week, okay? Next Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, we'll be back again with more grammar questions. Next week will be an open show, but the following week we have a special guest lined up. In fact, in June and July, I have some really fascinating guests to share with you. So stay tuned for more information about that, okay? Until I see you again next time, guys, keep studying, keep learning, and stay cool. Thanks for watching tonight's show. If you have an English grammar question, an English mystery, contact me on social media and send me a video of you asking the question. I'll investigate it on a future show. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button to get all the updates about videos and events. If you're feeling generous, you can also donate to the production costs of the show at Patreon or buy me a coffee. Finally, until the next time I see you on Hardboiled English Live, I want you to keep learning English. Stay healthy and stay cool.